You're welcome back to the conversation on News Central Television. We now turn our attention to Uganda, where President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has removed his son, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, as commander of Uganda's land forces after he repeatedly threatened on Twitter to invade neighboring Kenya. Kainerugaba, widely regarded as the de facto head of the military and his father's chosen successor, later said the comments were made in jest.
Now, in a statement announcing his replacement as Land Forces Commander, the military said Kainerugaba had been promoted from a Lieutenant General to Full General and would remain a senior presidential advisor for special operations. 78-year-old Museveni has been accused of grooming his son to take over from him, an allegation which he has denied. And now, joining us for this conversation, we have Ivan Bowe, is a legal practitioner in Kampala, Uganda. We also have Remy Bahati, a journalist in New York, USA, United States of America. We also have Freddie David Agesa, a security analyst all the way from Kampala, Uganda. Gentlemen, welcome to the conversation. All right, wonderful. I'll start with you, Ivan, if you can hear me. I'll begin with you. Now, what do you make of the removal of General Muhoozi Kainerugaba as commander of Uganda's land forces and the subsequent promotion to the rank of full general?
Ordinarily, the promotions would not be an issue because we expect that officers in the army should be promoted. And where need be, where some officers go errant, they should face the court-martial and therefore either stripped of their ranks or demoted in one way or the other. So to me, it is not about the promotion, but rather the manner in which this whole fiasco played out. We remember that this is not the first time General Muhoozi has made comments that intrude into national sovereignty, but also foreign affairs. We remember his views on the Tigray rebellion in Ethiopia, as well, but also the Russian war against Ukraine. So I would not be bothered by the promotion, but I'm bothered by the manner in which all this happened. And perhaps if it was another officer, as history has had it in the military in Uganda, it would be a matter of the court-martial. And we see the tension this has brought in the country and in relations with neighboring Kenya. And also to take a little bit back, this is not the first time Ugandan generals of influence in statecraft have tried to interfere with sovereignty of other countries. Of course, the tweets were of significant consequence, and it's my view that it is responsible solely for dropping of General Muhoozi as commander of land forces. But the promotion, I think, in my view, was a father-son relation.
Now, Ivan, what do you think is the reason behind his removal as UPDF Land Forces commander? Was it a reprimand or a promotion? So we're seeing that the president, Yoweri Museveni, has promoted him, but it came out with a statement earlier today saying that this is a time-tested formula, apologizing on behalf of his 48-year-old son, saying it's a time-tested formula where you reprimand and then you also give some reward, because it said General Muhoozi has been also useful in building about peaceful relations with neighboring countries in the East Africa region. What do you make of this?
I want to say that the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Republic of Uganda, General President Museveni, finds himself in a very tight corner. On one hand, his commander land forces is making serious threats to a neighboring country, but also without forgetting that it is his son. So generally, he's between a hard rock and a hard place, whereas he needs to make action to make right all that the son has, in his capacity as Commander Land Forces, has done. He also needs to remain a father, because even when his son occupied the office of Commander-in-Chief of Land Forces, Commander of Land Forces, he still remained his son. So there was a little bit of a punishment, but also a little bit of "you're my son." At the end of the day, President Museveni went with a balance rather than the full action of
Yeah, but a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people would agree with you that this is a balance. If it wasn't, it means it's getting special treatment. If it was any other ordinary officer, it would be on his way out of the UPDF and even be court-martialed. So I wonder how the generality of the public in Uganda take what is going on.
One, I have to clearly state that this is an actual test to the functioning of the court-martial. You pride yourself of having a professional army. But this fiasco that has happened, and very many others that built up to this current one, are a test of the army institution as a professional army, as we are being told all the time. So, can the court-martial, because President Museveni in his written apology clearly stated that no officer should interfere into matters of another sovereign state and all that.
Yeah.
But other officers before, even lower, all higher than the rank of General Muhoozi, when they had utterances, and this time round about the politics of the nation, were court-martialed. Examples: General Sejusa, we had General Tumukunde, to mention but a few. So, from this, at the moment, will there be punishment? Not as the son of the president, but as a serving army officer of the Uganda People's Defense Force. So it is clear that General Muhoozi has been led to do almost everything that would be punishable to the others of either similar rank, or higher, or lower. So as I've said, I stretch it back to the statements made over the conflict in Ethiopia, over the war, Russia's war with Ukraine. Therefore, it is a check, but most of us are aware that he has received preferential treatment and is going to continue receiving that preferential treatment. My biggest worry is that it undermines already the weak systems that have been presided over by his father, President Museveni. And perhaps another tweet that was not paid attention to is when he said, "I have had a great conversation with my father. He will announce the changes." In short, in a way, General Muhoozi shows that he has actually even the authority to determine on what happens to him. And
now, Ivan, looking at this authority going on now, looking at the president, Museveni, and the son. Now, a lot of people have said that he is grooming the son to take over for him after that. And there are also reports of the endorsement of Museveni for 2026 elections by top NRM officials. How do you see the political landscape? I mean, one side he's like punishing the child for doing something wrong, but at the same time, it's not really like a punishment. How do we see the political terrain going on, Ivan?
Well, Uganda's political environment is very hard to predict in the circumstances. The fact that we've not had a peaceful transfer of power makes it even harder. The fact that Uganda is not a monarchy makes it even more complicated. About grooming the son for presidency, I have no clear indication. Whereas I cannot say that he is not grooming, I cannot also deny it. Or with authority say he is not grooming. So, but clearly, I want to clearly state that everyone has freedom to aspire. We should not kill ambition because a person is someone's son.
Okay, thank you, Ivan. I would like to bring in our second guest on this topic. Freddie Egasa is a security analyst and he joins us also from the Ugandan capital, Kampala. Now, Freddie, has General Muhoozi Kainerugaba become too powerful a figure in Uganda for any formal state institution to call him to order? And as a 48-year-old grown-up son to the president, how can he be called to order? Because apparently this is not the first time he's been caught in controversy. His flurry of tweets at the time in which he backed Tigray rebels against Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's government in support for Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It's fomented trouble for Uganda, both within and in foreign policy. So why is he getting special treatment, and is he too old or too special or too powerful to be called to order? Freddie, are you there?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, my name is Freddie Egasa.
All right, go on, please.
What I'm looking at here. Hello.
Yes, go ahead, and we can hear you loud and clear.
Yes. What I'm saying is that I think what I'm not saying here, what I'm not saying is like we are sitting everybody is I think we may not be very far from what General did. If we move by peace, the more states at the time, when Uganda and Kenya have very, very good relationship.
Okay, all right, Freddie. Freddie, we'll have to get back to you in a minute while we try to get through with your audio because it's not really clear. But I'll go back to Ivan if we still have him on the situation there. We're looking at how powerful Muhoozi Kainerugaba is, and we also like to look at the impact because Uganda has very wonderful relations with Kenya. I mean, during the presidential ceremony of William Ruto called Museveni as a father of the East African region. How do you see the relations between Uganda and Kenya after this so-called jestful tweet by Muhoozi?
Thank you so much. It is with no doubt that Uganda enjoys a warm relationship with Kenya. But also, our survival on Kenya is largely dependent on Kenya because Uganda is a landlocked country. So, in terms of what happens in Kenya, directly impacts the Ugandan community. But this is not the first time that a Ugandan general has threatened to take territory and occupy Kenya. The first one was Idi Amin Dada in the 70s. And today in Kenya, because of these tweets, we had an online outburst. In the 70s, it was rather protests on streets of Kenya, or on streets of many cities in Kenya, denouncing President Idi Amin Dada. So the fact that President Museveni came out with an apology, and also there has been a lot of diplomatic engagements with officials in Kenya and also the ambassador of Uganda to Kenya, but also here, it shows you the magnitude of the tweets. Literally, President Museveni, while apologizing to Kenyans and to President Ruto, was saying that those are not President Moses' views, are not the views of Yame, of which President Museveni, the father, is the commander-in-chief, and those are not the ideas and views of Ugandans in general. And perhaps the other thing that was critical was that President apologized to Ugandans. President Museveni is not so fond of apologizing. He's not so fond of apologizing.
So why is the man himself in the center of the storm, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, why is he not apologizing for himself, by himself rather?
I beg your pardon?
I said, why is it that his father is apologizing on his behalf? Is it a Ugandan thing for parents to have the burden of apologizing for their children if they've done wrong? Because, I mean, people are saying the man in the center of the storm has not even issued a tweet saying, you know, I apologize for all the wrong I did and the controversy that is following my series of tweets. So a lot of people are wondering, why is the father apologizing for a 48-year-old man?
Well, General Muhoozi is an sound mind. And it was rather very unfortunate that
Ivan, can you hear us? Okay.
It also speaks to the fact that by the time the father apologized, probably General Muhoozi refused to. The father has been damage done already. He came in to do damage control. But also that speaks to the character of General Muhoozi.
Yeah.
Because when you soil your clothes, you have to clean them up. And to me, it would have made sense if the father was adding on the apology by General Muhoozi. But instead, General Muhoozi has continued to joke about it as if it was a matter of a ping-pong play, which is not the case in this case. And, well, it's when you look deeper into the tweets that came after that conversation, it clearly shows that probably President Museveni is not completely in control and in charge of the son as the former commander or as a serving officer.
Okay, but Ivan, what do you think is behind his jestful tweets? I mean, why would he talk about invading Kenya, talk about siding Tigray, looking at the
buying
Tigray...
cows for the incoming Italian Prime Minister?
Yeah, why would he make such tweets? I mean, what's behind it? Would you say he's just a very jestful person, or does he have hidden intentions with those tweets?
You see, whatsoever a man of his stature, in terms of the positioning in the army, and being the fact that he's the son of the president, churns out on Twitter, should be interpreted as such without any addition or subtraction. So, as to the motives as to why he makes those comments, I do not know. But all I know is that those tweets are not necessarily good for Uganda's relations with other countries. But also, I understand that having been raised as the president's son, probably Twitter is his own space, private space, where he speaks his mind, and therefore we should not interpret it otherwise in trying to say he does not mean it, or it's the handlers that are doing it. It is him, and he should be held accountable and responsible for whatsoever he churns out on his social media.
Now, finally, Ivan, Muhoozi Project is something that has been bandied around, especially in the media. It's a project that is meant to see General Muhoozi Kainerugaba succeed his father, who has been president since 1986. President Museveni in the past has come out to say, you know, there's no truth in this, and he hasn't appointed any successor. What's your take on Muhoozi Project? And if you can, in less than 2 minutes, I'll appreciate.
About Muhoozi Project, I do not know the validity of the project. But as I've said earlier, I cannot say it is not existent. But what I know and what I'm so sure of is that Uganda is not a monarchy. And Ugandans should have all the freedom to choose who they want to be their next president. And certainly, if General Muhoozi wants to play politics, borrowing words of General Mugisha Muntu, he should be respectful to the National Army, if he respects it anyway, because I've had tags like my army, my army, my army, our army. So he should be respectful, resign, and enters into the political arena without abusing the army as an institution, as a national institution.
Thank you very much, Ivan. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you here on the conversation. Thanks for your time and insight.
Thank you. Well, serious situations there between Uganda and Kenya from the president's son's tweet where he talked about invading Kenya's capital, Nairobi. And
then he gets a promotion and then his father apologizes on his behalf. Quite bizarre.
I mean, what kind of reprimand is that? if I get that all the time and I will just continue doing what I want to do.
Behaving the way you're behaving.
Well, we'll see how that pans out for Uganda and Kenya, even with the apology. And earlier on, we had discussions in Nigeria where education was on the front burner. We looked at the federal government creating two new factions, that's the Kanua and, of course, another faction from the dental unions. And this is going on while ASU is still on strike and students are still back at home. Well, that's all for today's edition of The Conversation. To join us again on Friday for another edition of The Conversation. I am Rita Omodia.
And I'm Gbenga Aborowa. Bye-bye.